Yes. Want to play? Please. How many games? 3 will do, thanks. Nobby gave a master's smile for an apprentice who thought 3 attempts would be enough to score a replay. Fancy yourself today, then? Piss off, Nob. 3 goes for the price of 1 was excellent value. But such deals required discretion, because the cafe's owner, Angelo, had called time on Nobby trading replays for cash. Danny went to slip the 6pence into Nobby's jacket pocket. No, tell you what, I'll have a cheesecake instead, and a tea. This would cost more than 6pence. Danny was about to mention it when Nobby winked and resumed easy thrusting and flipping. Cordelia Hill was behind the counter, wiping it down. She looked older than 16, and, in her white coat, reminded him of Westminster Hospital's young radiographers, who occasionally appeared in his nighttime fantasies. Hello, Danny. When did you start working here again? Last week. Hello, Danny. Sorry, it's just that I didn't expect to see you. I thought you stopped working here. She smiled. Nice surprise? Oh, yes, he said, with an enthusiasm that surprised him because her smile had beamed with more than familiarity. Dodds and Crockett had recently talked of her as fanciable, but, even though he hadn't seen her for a while, he wondered why he hadn't noticed how attractive she'd grown. Probably, he reasoned, because their friendship had never been like that. It began in their primary school, at a time when boys who played with girls were called sissies. Danny had resisted ridicule to spend time with Cordelia because, like him, she often read a book at playtime. Starting with Enid Blyton, they began reading the same books, agreeing and disagreeing. Unconcerned at first whether they were boys' or girls' books, they later drew lines either side of which they accepted each other's enthusiasm for the likes of Little Women or The Call of the Wild, but didn't read them. This had stopped when Danny left for a boys' grammar school, but on the rare occasions they met, they ended up talking about books. Cordelia's raised eyebrows told him she was waiting. Danny gave her Nobby's order and returned her smile, at which she pushed both palms over her ears to smooth blonde hair, even though it was already held neatly in a ponytail. That's a shilling, please, Danny. Had your exam results yet? He gave her 2 sixpences. Sometime this week. I'm sure they'll be good. Yellow flecks lit her green eyes as they locked onto his, making him feel as if he'd left his curtains open. Extended eye contact bothered Danny. With boys, it could lead to confrontation. With girls, it was tricky. Her gaze stirred a strange excitement in him, as if they had walked together through a familiar door, but into an unfamiliar room. Hope so. He looked away, but not before she had seen in a bit. Holding the large chromed teapot with 2 hands, she filled a white mug, added milk, and popped the cheesecake on a plate. She pushed them towards him with a smile that died when Angelo passed by and prodded her backside. She wheeled around, hand raised to slap. He held up a tea towel like a matador and grinned at Danny. Rich from Angelo, who would pull the face off anyone who did that to his own daughter. Yet, in his natural impulse to please, Danny hadn't been able to stop himself returning Angelo's grin. Cordelia noticed and gave him a look of silent fury. Instantly ashamed, he hoped he had got the brunt of her anger because Angelo paid her wages. She closed her eyes for a few seconds. When she opened them and turned to Angelo, it was with the controlled grimace of pretended tolerance. Dirty old bugger! Angelo shrugged, disappointed that his bit of fun hadn't been funny. Sorry, lovely girl. He thwacked the towel over his shoulder and disappeared into the kitchen. Cordelia snatched her ponytail out of its rubber band, yanked her hair back through it 3 times, while glaring at Danny. Anything else? He shook his head. No, except he'd like to say sorry. He hoped this unspoken response had shown in his face, as it was more honest than his smile for Angelo. If it had, Cordelia hadn't noticed.